You are listening to Deconstruction Podcast, presented by the Architectural Authority magazine.
We want to build a really robust community where we are gathering in a way that we're sharing ideas constantly. The data, things that we've learned from the past, look into the future, what works, as they say, evolution. I call it adaptive because nothing about our existence as humans is static.
No, it's not.
So we have to think about adaptive solutions going forward. No set it and forget it, right? Because what worked 100, 1,000 years ago,
It's not working out,
may not be the solution going forward as we explore technology, new methodologies, what we've learned, what we've failed at, what we've seen excelled. So Urblandia is that network.
These type of communities are the ones that we need to look for to start creating that new movement, that revolution of urbanism, the way that we live.
This episode is brought to you by WAD Designs Custom Woodwork. From design and build to installation, WAD Designs handles every detail in-house, ensuring a seamless, high-quality experience. WAD Designs, designed with heart, built with purpose.
This is Deconstruction, a space where we explore the ideas, trends, and stories shaping the world of architecture, design, and construction. From creative vision to business challenges, we dive into everything influencing the industry and how to navigate it. This podcast is produced by the Architectural Authority magazine, a platform committed to supporting creators and giving voice to those who turn vision into reality. Today, I'm joined by Andrew, founder and CEO of Urblandia, a platform that unites voices across the real estate, the design industry, to rethink how we shape our cities. He's also the mind behind the Urbanism Summit, an annual event since 2017 dedicated to sparkling impactful ideas in the areas of development and new urbanism. The objective of today's conversation is to reflect on whether our cities are truly being planned for human evolution, sustainability, adaptive development, regeneration, and human well-being. Welcome, Andrew.
Thank you for having me here.
Hi, Andrew. I was very excited about bringing you here since the day that I met you in one of your events. I said, okay, I had to bring him here and try to see how we can connect all the dots in this conversation and tie all your knowledge and all your the plans and ideas that you are doing with Urblandia and the Urbanism Summit to the future of these cities.
Yeah.
So welcome.
Thank you for having me. I think it's important that these conversations are had because when I'm on my own, I can't do everything, right? So I think this idea of collaboration is the essence and the heart of what we work on, especially with Urblandia and Urbanism Summit. So thanks for having me here.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to start with the logic behind Urblandia, what it is, how you through the mission and vision of it, trying to, create something different for our cities, for the community. Explain me a little bit.
Yeah. So in essence, I see myself as one who is a community builder. So, that translates to bringing together as many disciplines who are responsible for actually creating the built environment. So whether that's hometown, local construction, design, urban planning, to building cities and new towns, and what does the future of real estate development look like? So whether that's an architect, an engineer, an urban planner, interior designer, someone who's making policy in government, we want to build a really robust community where we are gathering in a way that we're sharing ideas constantly. The data, things that we've learned from the past, look into the future, what works, as they say, evolution. I call it adaptive because nothing about our existence as humans is static.
No, it's not.
So we have to think about adaptive solutions going forward. No set it and forget it, right? Because what worked 100, 1,000 years ago, may not be the solution going forward as we explore technology, new methodologies, what we've learned, what we've failed at, what we've seen excelled. So Urblandia is that network. Now, of course, It is business to business where we gather. It's a subscription-based model
Okay.
online, but we're very much focused on making sure that we have in-person meetups. So having conversations around and
Connecting.
invited guests to talk about a particular topic. If you're in
Mm-hmm.
construction,
Mm-hmm.
we want you to talk about what you're experiencing as far as you're looking towards the future around sustainability and adaptive
Mm-hmm.
design. And it goes on and on, when it comes to different disciplines. But yeah, we're very much betting on in-person energy. You
100%.
can't beat that. So online, offline subscription model, that is a core of Urblandia. Yeah.
And Urblandia is only located like it's a local community, or you are, extending the community to different cities.
It is being extended to other cities. We started here in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned the Urbanism Summit.
Uh-huh.
It was born out of the Urbanism Summit, which we
Yes.
we started back in 2017. But I saw an opportunity to scale it so that it's not just an annual conference, but rather become a solid community where we
Awesome.
can connect others, not just in Miami,
Mm-hmm.
but across the world. Because reality is that there is a version of you somewhere else doing what you do.
Yes.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
but you guys have not met,
Mm-hmm.
but you can share data. So whether you're in Europe, you're in the Caribbean, Latin America, whatnot.
Yeah.
So we want to be able to bridge as many different markets, give opportunities for us all to do business, but at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, share ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, our goal is to open up in other cities. We already have
Excellent.
Orlando. We launched in Mallorca as a test in Spain.
Wow.
We're bringing on board LA, New York, and a few other cities just to kind of have a early set of markets to test
Mm-hmm.
our ideas and concepts before we open up a full international, part of the network. So, but yeah, never just Miami alone, but born here. And we have a lot of challenges here, so we can
Yes.
learn a lot
A
here
lot of here,
to
yeah.
to change. To challenge and share ideas as well as elsewhere as well. So yeah,
When I met you, I fall in love with the idea of the understanding of the bridge that you create with everybody. Because before we started this conversation, I was telling you a little bit of my story.
yeah,
I do believe that collaboration is the only way forward
yeah,
to creating the built environments that we need
yep, absolutely,
for the future of society, for the future of, the new humans that is being built
yeah,
after COVID.
yeah, yeah,
Because for me, that milestone in the global scale
yeah,
marked and finish of an era and the beginning of a different way of living.
yeah,
And that different way of living is impacting every
yeah.
single, I will say, career or industry. But in our case, we impact the built environment.
Yes, we do.
And when you were confined, you understood that the space that surround you was it was more only that four walls. It was a space that either hold you,
Hmm.
make you better, or
Yeah,
make you sick.
yeah, yeah,
You feel compressed, you feel depressed,
yeah,
you feel sad. So creating better spaces that we can inhabit in a way that make us grow,
yeah,
evolve, be healthier, and create this relationship in community,
yeah,
because this is whatever we think in the micro cell of our spaces,
yeah,
impact the outdoor, impact the exterior, impact the urban impact of that idea, right?
yeah,
So for me, the actual mission of connecting after that disconnection
yeah,
was beautiful to see.
yeah. And it's something that it's not a new concept. Right,
Mm-hmm.
community is what we thrive on.
Mm-hmm.
We are social creatures.
Yep.
We're designed that way. I think we're the only ones who are trying to make that something different.
Separate.
Separating ourselves. We focus
Mm-hmm.
heavily on individualism. Society kind of have changed its narrative, especially when the marketing agencies are really great at this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, um,
Niches,
th-
targets.
yeah, yeah. So basically, it's like, oh yeah, self care. Take care of me first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great. Take care of yourself, but also remember to come back into conversation with the collective. We're one big organism,
Mm-hmm.
this human existence.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
the
I
the
love that.
planet is one big organism, and we're connected to the
Mm-hmm.
planet. We're
Yes.
connected to things in space. So the thing is that we're trying to force this idea that we're individuals and that that's how we exist. No one goes alone. We go
Mm-hmm.
on a journey together. You and I
Coexist.
are the result of someone investing in us.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Your mom and dad,
Exactly.
the people around you, your teachers, the people who served you in
Yeah.
community. So we are not, well, just of ourselves. We are
Mm-hmm.
of others. So that kind of thinking is what I'm infusing in what I'm doing with urban development. And
Mm-hmm.
the reason why I chose this space is because it affects every single one of us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, who most
You
people don't.
exist in a space.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, we exist in a space, but who designed it? These materials, how are they made?
Mm-hmm.
How are they affecting how we breathe? We spend more than 92% of our lives indoors. But so how can we make our indoor actually work for our health and wellness? And so having these conversations across disciplines, the
Mm-hmm.
interior designer talking to the manufacturer, the developer talking to the architect, about
See.
all these, you come to the table, you walk away, you discuss these things. What ends up happening is you walk away with one vision
Mm-hmm.
rather than having things so fragmented, having conversations in different rooms
Mm-hmm.
that never connects. And so the community is designed to be a table, a
Yes.
communal table.
Mm-hmm.
Sit down, let's have these conversations, share data, and how we can make this a better approach and how we design and build going forward. Yeah,
And when we communicate with others and we share our ideas, we grow, but also we create an uniform and I will say an holistic way or concept that will benefit everybody.
yeah,
Because if you don't listen others,
yeah.
you don't know what their needs are.
Of
So
course,
everybody needs some perspective of life
of
needs to be
course.
put into a table. So the outcome,
Yeah,
the results of the new, in this case that we are talking about the built environment,
yeah,
the new way that we will build
yeah.
is the discussion now.
It's the discussion. It is the discussion that translates to action
Correct.
because we talk a lot.
Exactly.
We're a society that loves to talk. We love to hear ourselves talk. And
I love that.
I think I remember I was telling someone the other day there are so many podcasts.
Yeah, exactly.
Here I
What are
am.
we
Here
doing?
we are. We're doing one too. Um, but these conversations are important.
Yes.
But action
Mm-hmm.
afterwards is
Mm-hmm.
important
Mm-hmm.
to follow through in what we're doing.
What is the plan? Mm-hmm.
There is a practice within studios as they're designing, doing urban planning and development, where the term is called a charrette.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, doing charrettes. And basically it is that. It is about that feedback, is about that. Okay, so we're presented with a plan. Let's look at these drawings. How is this development going to work? And having people in the room that are stakeholders
Mm-hmm.
give feedback so that they can adjust the plan is the practice of that exercise. Is the
Mm-hmm.
exercise of it's called the charrettes. So that has happened traditionally in architectural studios with developers.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm trying to do is bring that charrette to be a real time thing, but not just with a few stakeholders.
No.
It's for everyone it's going
Mm-hmm.
to affect.
Mm-hmm.
If we can get the community involved in the context of, hey, what are some of the pain points
Mm-hmm.
in the redevelopment of your community? Well, okay, it's not
Exactly.
walkable. We don't feel so safe, at this time of the
Mm-hmm.
day. We don't have access to nutrition-rich food. Oh, we have
Mm-hmm.
to drive. Oh, so far away. We can't afford a car.
Mm-hmm.
But the public transportation is not great around here. So I have to walk in the middle of 90-degree weather a
Exactly.
mile just to go find a bus. I have to wait at a bus stop that doesn't have proper
Shelter.
sheltering, uh, and the list goes on and on.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're not listening that deeply,
Mm-hmm.
then we end up designing the wrong thing.
Totally.
You know?
And one of the things that I think is beautiful of what you're saying is that this type of communities are uh, clear of agendas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when you sit in a studio, when you have a project that has stakeholders, you have an agenda. And the agenda is not the human being.
Mm.
The agenda is economic.
Yes. So, yeah.
Right? So you need
Absolutely.
to be efficient. You need to be, square footage is the goal.
Yeah.
Sellable square footage is the goal.
Yeah.
But the maximum potential of the land is the goal,
Yeah.
but not the maximum benefit to the inhabitants.
Yeah.
It's the goal. So
Yeah.
this type of communities that is without agenda, that is it doesn't follow
No.
any government.
Yeah.
Follows
Exactly.
the actual perspective of the people that belong
The
to
human
it.
need.
Bring the real ideas, bring to the table the real perspective, the real situations, what is really going on and what people is researching. Because when I started doing this research and all of this, I understood that everywhere in the world,
Yeah.
they are doing something different.
Yeah.
In the United States, we are behind. We don't know what is regenerative architecture in real,
Yeah.
in execution.
Yeah.
Sustainability is something that we hear, but it's very limited to governmental, and
Hmm.
there is a lot of education that needs to happen,
Yeah.
and an implementation from the people. If you request it, if you are the people that is going to buy an apartment in a condominium that is built, but based on the old perspective,
Yeah.
or the old, let's call it, framework.
Yeah.
If you now are educated and you understand that the environment makes you sick,
Yeah.
you start requesting and following or looking for spaces that follow a different framework.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So these
Absolutely.
type of communities are the ones that we need to look for to start creating that new movement,
Yeah.
that revolution of urbanism, the way that we live.
Yeah. Absolutely. One of the key things that will drive that, and it's one of the hardest things to do,
Mm-hmm.
is create a mindset shift.
Totally.
Okay. Um, we're very difficult to change as humans. Change is not one of our forte. So translate that beyond, our
On,
personal,
mm-hmm.
sort of aptitude or um, doings, and you translate it into professional. It also becomes very hard because, as you say, they're worried about the price per square footage and the
Exactly.
land and maximizing all that. The problem is that those who are just still focusing on that, they're going to have to play catch up later because there's a whole new approach, and people who are seeing it, developers who are seeing this,
Yeah.
people who are in policy making,
Mm-hmm.
who are watching the trends and seeing how things are evolving,
Mm-hmm.
they're the ones who are going to win because they understand the value add of being able to listen and design to adapt in a human thinking kind of way. Okay, we can't do the traditional thing anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, I mean, talking about from the investment funds, to all the way to the material design.
Mm-hmm.
How are we talking about circular economy,
Mm-hmm.
incorporating that so that we're not creating new waste, okay, but rather
Fix it.
using the existing materials,
Yep.
repurposing them,
Mm-hmm.
and still profiting from doing all that. And
Mm-hmm.
by the way, I want to make it very clear. For us, it's not about kumbaya. Let's sit around the bonfire
Yeah.
and sing with our folk
No, no,
guitars and
no.
whatnot. That's all great, but the reality is there are real economic value. There are real economic values uh, from all of this.
Mm-hmm.
This is not just pie in the sky kind of a talk.
No, no, no.
You have to think that you can't stay static. You have to see what's going on
Mm-hmm.
in the evolution of things. Yes, climate change is a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
There's a whole migration. There are places that are not going to exist anymore because of their coastal.
Mm-hmm.
They're on the water. Miami itself is dealing with that issue going forward, and the science and the data is there already.
Totally.
We talk to a lot of professionals in that space. In fact, we host these conversations a lot and try to collaborate with universities
Mm-hmm.
such as, Florida International University. They have a
Mm-hmm.
really great research
Data.
department around sea level rise. Tiffany Truxler, who we've interviewed, you can go to these institutions to find out more about
Mm-hmm.
how is the environment and the environmental data can affect your portfolio of what you're about to build or what you're considering
Mm-hmm.
as far as
Mm-hmm.
your next project. Where should you put it? How is that going to affect population growth? How population growth is going to affect that? How climate migration is going to affect that?
Mm-hmm.
So there's economics there, but it takes a shift in mindset
Totally.
and to change the way we think to get to that. And you know what? I welcome people as they are.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you're not full on in yet with the whole adaptive design
Sustainability,
and
adaptive,
yeah, but
regenerative,
but hey, maybe allocate a small portion of your portfolio projects
Mm-hmm.
to test it, to see if it
Understand
works,
it.
but yet to
Mm-hmm.
understand it and work with the professionals who are
Mm-hmm.
already, making waves and have been on this journey for a while. And
Mm-hmm.
finally now it's seeping
Mm-hmm.
into a little bit more of the mainstream,
Mm-hmm.
wellness projects. A lot of projects now are now being marketed and
As
under
wellness.
wellness.
I wanted to talk about that because
Yeah.
for me it's incredible in terms of the way that is being marketed versus the reality.
Yeah.
And the economic advantage that I see here now is that at least people now is looking for wellness. So
Yes.
they now understand
Yeah.
that the space that they are living is not the best environment for them.
Yeah.
But the concept of wellness,
Yeah.
it's something that it's being mistaken with the creation of a spa
Yeah.
or over luxurious spaces that is not really
Hmm.
the actual values or framework that we need to evaluate when we are talking about impacting
Wellness.
the wellness of a human being.
Yeah.
So we are talking about different things. So
Yeah.
can you explain us, a little bit from the perspective of the urban development? What is wellness?
Yeah. So yes, wellness has been sort of hijacked, okay, into now a marketing term. It's just I always attribute it. It's akin to when, you know,
Hijack, totally.
yeah, it was a hijack. It's akin to when we went from all natural in foods to
Uh-huh.
now organic, and
Okay.
then there had to be a certification body.
Uh-huh.
And it's funny because like when I started hearing that organic translated from the natural, being that I was born in Jamaica and I grew up
Everything is
on
organic.
on the land,
Exacto.
we didn't need a certification body.
No.
We planted that stuff, we reaped it. So it's like
Mhm.
we harvested all that stuff. So for us, it was just yeah. Now there's a label. So in wellness, yes, a lot of developers are starting to use that to sell properties, right? Because yes, you build a spa and a few other things.
Mhm.
Maybe it's the color of the wall and sort of the
Mhm.
shading of things and materials, design, the views. But the majority of them are luxury.
Mhm.
And just like when the organic movement started, it felt very elitist
Yeah,
and
superficial.
very exclusive.
Mhm.
You see, again, going back to the collective,
Mhm.
I'm all about trying to bring everyone along for the
Mhm.
ride. So,
Exactly.
wellness and community starts with this. How are you empowering every single person that is alive, okay,
Mhm.
in any development, in any city, to live a dignified life?
Mhm.
How are you empowering them to be able to afford nutrition rich food again, be
Mhm.
in a walkable community,
Mhm.
feel safe, have access to all the things they need in basic
Mhm.
to live a life that is dignified,
Mhm.
attainable housing, okay, transportation if they need to move around, wellness around, of course, their health and
Mhm.
wellness. And that's mental also, not just physical.
Mhm. Mhm.
I look at some of the communities that are always ripe for new development, which
Mhm.
are historically blighted neighborhood or has been designated by governors since
Mhm.
2016, the opportunity zones. If you look into opportunity
Yes.
zones, historically, these communities are always the ones who bear the brunt of
Mhm.
displacement.
Mhm.
People say gentrification when I use displacement. That's a hard. That's effectively is what's happening. Gentrification happens all the time in real estate
Yes.
development, but a lot of those folks are overlooked. And if you're talking about wellness, give them more than just a bodega with food that is not good for their physical health.
Correct.
Okay, give them the mental health care that they also
Mhm.
need
Mhm.
to help repair some of the trauma, generational trauma that they've
Mhm.
experienced.
Mhm.
The mom and pop who are trying to make it and they have, a little shop.
Mhm.
The community loves them, but when that new development happens, they got to move and they can't afford it most of the time. So
Correct.
why don't developers try to work with either a granting system and
Mhm.
say, hey, okay, we'll help you. You're a favorite in the neighborhood. You've been trying for so long. Let's help you with marketing. Let's give you a space. Lower rent for
Human
now.
center.
Let's help you somehow.
Mhm.
We both profit off this if you make it in X amount of
Mhm.
years. I don't know.
Mhm.
Just one example.
Yep.
So for me, wellness, it talks about taking care of all of us.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying to just everyone should have the exact same thing.
Mhm.
Yes, it is about meritocracy. You have to earn it,
Mhm.
but you have to also allow for more than just equal opportunity, but also equal access to these
Opportunities.
opportunities.
Yes.
So that for me is wellness,
Mhm.
starting there.
Mhm.
Now, if we're talking about luxury build and how we put together all these things, I don't even want to give spotlight to the luxury market. To be honest with you, it's great. We all love the finer things in life, but luxury in a community like that, in an opportunity
Would
zone,
be
it's a park.
beautiful.
It's a beautiful park.
Exactly.
Green in the
Having access to
spaces.
light,
Yeah, having all. Yeah,
vegetation,
yes,
walking areas,
exactly.
open spaces.
Opens. Yeah, exactly.
Having the opportunity for me, having the opportunity to have enough square footage to house a family complete. Because one of the things that I see in these, the you know, communities that are complicated, right?
Yeah.
Is that they have a lot of people. They have a huge families living in small spaces.
Yes.
So and this is and I wanted to get into the science of wellness, because one of the things that I do believe that the word it's helping us to in general to understand that we need to see our health in relation to the spaces that we are inhabiting.
Yeah.
So if you feel compressed, if you feel depressed, if the space that you are living is dark, is small, you don't have natural light,
Yeah.
you don't have access to visual beauty like
Yeah.
trees, plants, etc.,
Yeah.
the space that you are inhabiting is not well.
No.
Is not providing you a well, and a space where you can thrive.
No.
So for me, wellness will be in the terms of human evolution, providing everybody with a space that can be good for their development, that hold them,
Yeah.
that make them, that give them the opportunity to thrive, the opportunity to grow, rest,
Yeah.
play, enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
Of
of
course.
that is
Yeah.
part of the well-being.
Yeah. Of course. And I understand that, especially how this country was built, and most countries where you have economic development and people looking for new opportunities. That they're migrants, right? Well,
Hmm.
I'm an immigrant. My
Yes.
parents, my mom came here, and as a result, I'm here. So a lot of times, for some immigrants, uh, they come and they just can afford one little apartment, and everybody comes and they just stay there until they find their way of making it on their own.
Hmm.
So I understand that some spaces, it's depending on what's happening, it's there's nothing linear to this, but we do have to create spaces
Hmm.
where, yes, it feels like
The
someone's
mi-
sanctuary,
Mhm.
where you can live and feel it's a reset moment, or you can explore, let your mind be
Exactly.
free, exploring how
Exactly.
to imagine a better life,
Mhm.
do introspective work,
Mhm.
looking within, see how you're doing and also how you're
Exactly.
contributing to others. And I think more and more we need that because, yes, the world has always seemed to have been in chaos. You look at history, no matter what book you read, there was always something going on.
Mhm.
So people say, "Oh my gosh, it's the end of the world." They've been saying that forever,
Exactly. Yep.
Um, but here's the thing: in our time, we now have a unique issue. We have a phone that is really a computer, and we're connected 24/7, and we have a barrage of information coming to us.
Mhm.
We call, you hear the term doom scrolling. We're scrolling
Yes. Until
infinitely, and the psychology of how
numbing.
all these things are designed is to keep you addicted to these things, to keep on looking at
The
other
stimulation,
people's.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's proven.
So the thing is this: with that chaos, there's a thing that also exists. We're connected, but we're also very lonely. We're a very lonely society.
Mhm.
And this is why community is important. So
Mhm.
even though, like, for instance, to get back to Urblandia, we're a
Mhm.
community of professionals, but what I see happening, and I hear this,
Mhm.
I don't have to solicit this from anyone. I don't have to ask for testimonial. I hear people telling me, this community feels authentic, even though it's business.
Mhm.
I don't. It doesn't feel so transactional, even though we do transact. Because I can talk to someone, I can go hang out with this person. I got invited to so
Mhm.
and so's barbecue. I'm here new to the city. I'm
Mhm.
getting to learn the city. So therefore, it's also a point of human connection.
Yes.
Okay, and we are in a very lonely state,
Mhm.
being hyper connected. So how are we designing for this? So yes, we want a place to retreat. That's our home. That's what we call it now.
Uh-huh.
Okay, that's the definition of home right now. A place of retreat where we have our sort of private space
Mhm.
to just separate for a moment from the group, to think about ourselves.
Mhm.
Whatever. How are we doing physically?
Mhm.
How are we doing from a soul spiritual perspective?
Mhm.
What is our journeys? What has our journey been so far? Where
Mhm.
are we at and where we're going?
Mhm.
A lot of times we don't realize this, but since it's all so connected,
Sí.
an investor can affect that person.
Yes.
A developer affects that person's, well-being. The architect the interior designer.
With the people that are creating these
Yes.
spaces are the ones that are
So we
capable
are
of changing it.
responsible. So think about
Exactly.
it. Think about it. If we think about this from a context of, you know what, we're morally responsible
Hmm.
for someone else's lives,
Yes.
rather than say, oh, you know what, we're delivering a product. We
Square
see
footage done.
we CO'd and bye bye.
Done.
Okay. So well, if we think about it that we're responsible for that person who's going to purchase that
Hmm.
unit or however is going to live there,
Hmm.
maybe we'll think about it a little bit differently.
Yes.
Because in the long term, I think about I always ask people, what is your legacy? How do you feel that when this is all done, when we're out of this shell, this body that we have right now, we've moved on, what would you like your story to reflect?
Yeah.
And how did you do that?
Hmm.
You know, and within our professions, whether you again go, anything that you do in the built
You have
environment,
power.
how did you do that?
Hmm.
And so I really want us to consider, and this is a part of mindset shift
Hmm.
where
Hmm.
we stop just looking at the numbers
Hmm.
and start looking at people,
Hmm.
and see how we can and help and build a more sustainable way of thinking in how we do real estate development in
To-
spaces.
totally. I think in our industry we have an enormous responsibility and we have the power to change it. And at this very moment, I've been having conversations like this one with different stakeholders in the industry, from architects, interior designers, lending developers,
Yeah,
and the acknowledgement that the norm, which is the code, is not enough
yeah,
anymore.
yeah,
Because the code, the Florida Building Code, only requested safe.
yeah.
No, it's the minimum requirement.
Minimum, yeah,
The minimum required is no longer enough. And now we have, because we already know that there are different ways that we can improve our spaces.
yeah,
In this very moment, we do have a responsibility, because if you don't know it, you don't know
yeah,
it's no harm done.
yeah,
But when you know that you are doing things right, that things can be done better,
yeah,
and the tools and the proofs are outside, because
yeah,
now you know that through your heart rate, that through your brain waves, you
yeah,
can
yeah,
understand if the space is being gives you anxiety.
yeah,
It's the technology of the wellness that had pushed the market towards one side is also giving us the tools
yeah,
to prove
yeah.
that the minimum that we have is not
It's not
enough.
enough. Yeah, yeah,
So using that
yeah,
to the advantage of the new language that we need to use to relate construction, urban development
hmm,
to another word of wellness, or another layer, or another aspect of wellness, will be like redefining it, or taking it back,
yeah,
like
yeah,
like like
yeah,
repurposing it,
yeah, yeah,
taking the word and redefining it as
yeah,
it should be.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's human centered design,
yeah. It is human centered design at the end
not
of
the
the day.
minimum.
No, no,
Because the minimum that we're living now is making us sick.
of
Small
course.
spaces, square footage,
Yeah,
no light, wrong accesses.
yeah, yeah.
So all of this can be improved, but now we have the tools.
To measure.
Because technology is already giving us data.
Yeah,
It's a different type of numbers that we need to see. The numbers are
yeah,
people's the percentage of people sick
yeah,
versus the square footage, the price of square footage going up.
yeah, yeah.
We have now numbers. We need to see the numbers,
Yeah,
but
of course. Yeah,
different kind of numbers.
yeah,
The numbers that are affecting us
of
as
course.
the humans development, our evolution, and how that translate in happiness, and translate in stability, economic stability. Because if you are happy in your home
Yeah,
and you rest, next day you're gonna do a better job,
yeah, of
and
course.
then you will be creative, you will have better ideas. No,
Yeah,
impacts everything. So communities like Urblandia, and I want you to talk a little bit of the Urban Summit,
yeah,
how that got created, and what's the purpose behind it. As I mentioned, the mind, right?
yeah,
So how through your I already understood, and I think the people listening to us as well, Urblandia is giving us that connection, that human connection, real,
yeah,
to put on a table people with actual purpose, right?
yeah, yeah.
With their true trying to improve the built environment.
Correct.
The Urban Summit,
Hmm.
it's a big layer, right? Because the Urban Summit is something that it happens. It's not happening once a year.
Once a year, we paused, but we're back. We'll be back next year.
Okay.
Um, so how it got started, it was around the same premise. I wanted to tackle the issue of engaging people of
Engage.
different disciplines, so that we can break down silos
Mm-hmm.
around how we're thinking about the future
Mm-hmm.
of the built environment. So around these two topics, the environment and natural ecosystems
Mm-hmm.
that we're destroying. How do we put them back or avoid destroying them
Exactly.
or working with them?
Mm-hmm.
In a smarter way, because Earth is life, life is Earth. We are off the
We
Earth.
are part of the same.
And second, what is our social impact in communities? How are we impacting communities? And that's
Mm-hmm.
all we've been talking about, right?
Totally.
So the summit itself became a thing where it's a conference. We started in 2017. We had the support of some really visionary players here in Miami. One being the office of Craig Robbins at DACRA.
Mm-hmm.
So they give us a space and
Beautiful.
the promotional help to host our first one there, and we hosted in the Palm Court, and that went really well. We For the first one we had 100 participants for a full day
Wow.
conference, and we're like, okay, there is an
This is.
appetite, there's a need for
Mm-hmm.
this kind of
Mm-hmm.
discussion. So we had the architects, we had the urban planners, we had local farmers, we had community activists, everyone in the same room. Because the way I program
Mm-hmm.
and put people together is, at first they're like, wait a minute, it's kind of strange. Why am a marine biologist is going to be in the same panel with a real estate developer? Well, by the time you're done, you're going to realize
You
why.
you understand
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're connected.
Yeah. It's all connected. The development affects the bay,
Mm-hmm.
and the bay
Mm-hmm.
affects the development. So
Wow.
we had a really successful start, and then we just repeated that year after year. By 2019, we grew that 100 attendees to about 400,
Wow.
450.
Mm-hmm.
And we hosted at the Moore, again with the support of DACRA and the Miami Design District. So I'm
Wow.
very grateful for their support and how they got help me get started with that.
Mm-hmm.
But we had opening remarks from Craig Robbins. We had quite a few different international speakers.
Mm-hmm.
We incorporated a lot of local
Mm-hmm.
leaders and also voices that were not heard before.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times when we program, to attract a group, we go with people who are celebrities and people who are known. This is a star architect, this is a star developer. That's cool.
Yep.
But I like to bridge both the person who in community
Mm-hmm.
have their finger on the pulse of their community because they live in that community,
Mm-hmm.
to also be a part of the conversation. Okay, so we can drive a deeper engagement,
Mm-hmm.
understanding, and bridge those two different worlds. So it continued to become a very dynamic think tank,
Mm-hmm.
where my goal was always to influence that mindset shift into us thinking about
Mm-hmm.
the environment and how we're addressing sustainability goals. Back in 2015, the United Nations issued their 16 sustainable goals that they have: clean water, eradicate poverty, equality. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
then the list goes on and on.
Mm-hmm.
People, might have heard of, ESG, which is, stands for environmental, social, governance, impact,
Mm-hmm.
which is basically a framework that no one has really locked down as full standard yet, but more or less it comes back to the same thing. How are we treating the environment in business? How are we as business owners affecting the social fabric of community
Mm-hmm.
and governance, and transparency and
Love it.
all those things. So all of these different organizations are trying to do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and for us, the way I saw the Urbanism Summit, and still see it as this, it becomes a dynamic think tank towards gathering people to have that mindset shift, to try new things, to become innovators and be the ones who are leading the charge in
Mm-hmm.
in having these discussions, but also taking
Mm-hmm.
action
Mm-hmm.
behind it. So when you're done with the conference, a lot of people get high on information, but they do nothing with
They
it.
don't nothing exactly.
So I'm happy to see when projects come about.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like to take credit for things because I can't say, oh, I'm the one who completely influenced that. But I think we all influence.
Mm-hmm.
If there is a project that comes out of, oh, you met at the Urbanism Summit, or
Mm-hmm.
you're part of
You get
Urblandia, and we started talking about this project, and here we are now. It's coming to
exactly.
life. I love to see things like that, and so where we're at now is that since 2019 and of course 2020 happened, uh, the world paused. We
Yes.
had to reconsider our existence here because of the pandemic. I saw an opportunity.
That's the mind shift.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the mind shift that we needed.
Yeah, yeah. And some people came out of it the same. It's unreal that some people didn't use it as an opportunity to
I
make
do
a
believe
shift.
that, yeah,
But
it's the majority did.
but a lot of people did get a different perspective on life. But so coming out of that, I saw an opportunity to scale this because the summit was something that we just did once a year. So to have the conversation ongoing and to build a community, Urblandia was born. So once we started to get back to in-person meetups,
Yeah.
COVID,
It was a response to that. It
Yeah.
was a response at the fact Urblandia wasn't then the response at the fact that you couldn't connect physically through COVID, and then you created Urblandia. It was at the end is better because it doesn't have limits.
It doesn't have limits, and it was a natural progression also of the Urbanism Summit.
Exactly.
Because the conversations were being had annually, but
Mhm.
then, with the pandemic and everything,
People needed more.
shifting, we needed something that can actually scale and go across the world, and so we started with just doing monthly meetups. So we'll meet for happy hour, mixer. We have invited guests, and then finally last year we launched the platform, and now we're growing where we're having chapters and starting to have different location just to exchange ideas.
I see you repeating something that I think is the key, no?
Yeah.
Talking and talking and talking and not doing. And I think through the new step that you have taken into Urblandia and that, elevating that into a different type of community is pushing people
Yeah.
to implement.
Yeah.
One of the things and I wanted to connect with one of the topics of my latest passions, which is regenerative architecture.
Okay. Yeah.
Sustainability and regenerative architecture are topics, or I will say new frameworks that
Mhm.
are based on gaining conscience about
Mhm.
what are we doing with our built environment. We have so many tools and technologies now to build in a different way, and it
Yeah.
doesn't have to affect developers because we need to bring them in order to change the built environment. We need to sell that to them.
Yeah, of course.
And the way to sell that to them is not only the data that they are making us sick,
Mhm.
is finding a real strong way that we can build in a different way using an elevated framework, sustainability combined with there are so many frameworks now
Mhm.
based on technology
Yeah.
that we can use
Mhm.
to be the proof
Mhm.
of the new, I will say, the new wave
Mhm.
of the built environment, the new type of urbanism, the new cities.
Yeah. So when it comes to, again, mindset and the way that developers think, it's always going to be about show me the money.
Yep.
Okay. And nothing wrong with that. It's business. Right. But now what we're trying to say is like, let's do conscious business, development.
Correct.
Think about all
Conscious
the, yeah.
development. I love that word.
And so when it comes to regenerative, I think about circular,
Uh-huh.
economy, it all comes together. It's the earth.
Mhm.
There's no new earth. This earth has been around forever, right? As far as we don't know the exact number, but
Mhm.
it's regenerative. The premise of the planet is that we're encapsulated in an atmosphere,
Yep.
okay, that sustains itself, okay, but we're somehow trying to destroy it,
With
and
everything
we're
that we
part
do.
of that. We're part of that life that is sustained. So if we
Mhm.
destroy, we're destroying ourselves, right?
Correct.
And so we've heard of the things that go extinct. There are
Mhm.
some things that are going extinct in real time as we're watching it, actually. So we have to say to ourselves, yeah, something has to change in the way we go about it.
Mhm.
Yes, our technology, which we're so proud of how we've created machines.
Mhm.
But the reality, if you look at tech in nature, it's incredible.
It's elevated.
You know,
Yes,
how
it's
does
another level.
yeah, how does a bird fly and think? How does a worm bore a hole? And how
It's
does ants
magnificent.
carry stuff that's
Perfect.
12 times their size? And what all I'm saying is that we shouldn't feel so proud as if like we're we're superior to in
Mhm.
anything that in
Nature.
nature that exists. Reality, there's no superiority. We're co-creators. We're co-creators at the end of the day.
Mhm.
So if mentally it makes you feel better that you're superior in any way, I think well, humility is probably something you want to subscribe to,
Mhm.
and that will help inform your decision on how you approach, anything you do in life. So with that sort of humility, and yes, we have technology, And of course, we can't end the show in any way without talking about a little bit about AI. Artificial intelligence has been something that we created to help make our lives more efficient,
100%.
right? It's still very nascent, even though it's not new, but it's accelerated the pace. Right now, where we're at, we've accelerated the pace of how it learns, and it learns us, and kind of give back a mirror of who we are. But it's supposed to be designed to help us be more efficient and identify the gems of data that can help us be more effective in how we create in so many different industries. But since we're talking about
That's
real
the
estate
key.
development, find those gems of how we can be a lot more regenerative in our design, exploring new materials. But we need to get that data in the system first.
Yes, that's
Okay?
it.
Because
Exactly,
this thing is
Andrew.
useless unless you give it right data. Okay?
That's what I
Okay?
think is it's been so difficult to implement, and now we have the tools, and I see the light at the end of the road, because now people is spending a lot of money in everything called biohacking,
Oh,
and every enhancement in technology to wellness, right?
yeah.
So that means that the developers follow the people that expand, the market.
Yeah, of
If
course.
the market is ready
Hmm.
to buy and to understand that the space can also be
Hmm.
healthier
Yeah.
in a different sense, because we are talking about a new frontier of wellness in construction, because they are wellness in everything, but
Yeah. Yeah.
the new frontier in wellness is wellness construction. It
Yeah.
had to be something different, right?
Yeah.
So I think the market, it's already ready for this.
Of course.
We just need to start having the conversations and translate it into reality, because who is going to translate it into reality? The developers. Who is making the developers invest? The people that the
Yeah.
need,
Yeah. Yeah.
the niche, the
Yeah.
target, and the
Yeah.
target is ready because people is buying.
Yeah, it is. So here's the thing, and it's an interesting approach to all of this, right? Because how do you ask people to do something, and if they don't react, how do you try to get that message,
Across.
across? And sometimes you kind of almost have to force it. Okay, so I was having this conversation actually at one of our meetups, or one of our Urblandia mixers, where we're talking about, say for instance, a neighborhood like Coconut Grove.
Uh-huh.
Okay, which if most people are not aware, it's a very lush neighborhood within the city of Miami.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say lush, I mean tree canopies.
Green,
It's also walkable. It's
open
on the
spaces.
bay.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mixed use of mixed group of families and young professionals and an older generation who's been there forever.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, very valuable neighborhood, right? And they value their community and their village feel. So with tree ordinances around, you can't remove certain trees.
Mm-hmm.
People say, well, how do you get developers to stop, removing massive oaks that have been there
Mm-hmm.
forever and all these trees? And and someone says, well, fine them. It says, well, yeah, they get fined,
And they pay.
but they don't care. They'll pay the fine,
They pay the fine because
and yeah, it's the value in what they're creating. That yeah, they'll make that back.
mm-hmm.
So someone said, well, you know what? Take away their license.
Okay,
Okay,
bold.
bold. Now that's a different move.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a different. So when you think about, say, for instance, you're a doctor, you're a lawyer,
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to do something to get your license taken away.
But it's damaging the community.
You know,
Things that damage the community. You have the tools in your hands. You have too much power in your hands when you're a contractor, a developer, an investor that has the money power to translate an idea into reality. If it's the wrong idea, you are
yeah,
damaging.
yeah,
If you don't have values, if you are not following the minimum standards, which we are over the minimum standards, we need to go above and beyond the minimum
yeah,
standards. You are damaging.
yeah. And so this is what I was saying. If you think about everything that we design that affects everyone's, that make it a moral responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And for those who don't want to play well, because we know that in this life there are good actors and bad actors, and
Mm-hmm.
people are just bent on me all the time. They thrive on chaos. So the thing is this: for those who are trying to do good and uphold, yes, we have to reward those, and then yes, do punish, and make the bad actors think twice and say,
Mm-hmm.
hey, you can come over to the good side. You know what I mean? So when it comes to designing, and of course we talk about market is ready, we have to
I
think
agree with
about
you.
it from the context that sometimes the market is not even aware of what they're ready for. Sometimes you create, and
The
then
spaces.
build it and they'll come, right? But
Mm-hmm.
you have to lead the charge in the whole thing about creating value around
Yes.
regenerative, circular economy,
Sustainable, exactly.
all this
All of
design,
these
adaptive
concepts.
design.
Mm-hmm.
You have to lead that, because there,
Mm-hmm.
yes, there is a market for that, but also make it accessible. Okay, create different tiers for
Mm-hmm.
that,
Mm-hmm.
right? And yes, understand that it comes on many different fronts, because, say, for instance, here in Miami, we have the Miami 21 code
Mm-hmm.
that was written many, many times, many, many moons
Years ago, I
ago.
have no.
Um, yeah, it is to be updated. So when you talk about form-based code and all the things that are essentially the DNA and the roadmap for how a city gets developed,
Yep.
whether that's a 50 to 100, 100 to 100-year trajectory, um, you have to think about that these codes are going to have a
Mm-hmm.
trickle-down effect to
Mm-hmm.
every developer, designer, manufacturer, and how those
Mm-hmm.
things will come together. Like, if the code says we need X amount of parking spaces
Mm-hmm.
per building, well, I don't know if we need that anymore. So many parking spaces or parking spaces as a result, as
It
it
needs to be
correlates,
updated. It needs to be updated
because
for sure.
we now know that we want more walkability, we want better infrastructure on transportation in
Correct.
transit,
Mm-hmm.
right? So and why are we paving paradise to put up parking lots, right?
Correct.
Why do we continue doing that?
Mm-hmm.
Why are we making it more car centric
It needs
when
to
we
be
should
intervened.
be more around moving people en masse in a more efficient way?
It needs an intervention. It needs an intervention. And I will love to see people forward thinking, sitting on those tables,
Yeah,
bringing this type of topics
this is
to,
important.
to governance, because
Yeah,
the more the more you do what you're doing, which is bringing people forward thinking together and creating this,
yeah,
melting pots of ideas to push society forward.
yeah,
From those melting pots, people with ideas and position and the right power, or the right profession,
yeah,
could be inserted into this
yeah.
governance tables
Oh yeah,
and create change and
yeah,
make change, because that's what we are trying to do here. And I would like to ask you this, because I get very passionate about these topics, because I do care, no? And
yeah,
in my position as a contractor, I'm looking for ways of how can I improve what I'm doing.
yeah.
But the sad truth is that I need to build what people pay me for building,
I
right?
got you. I
So
got you.
I would like to be part of a community
Yeah,
that is thinking in a different way, so I can build in a different way,
yeah, yeah,
because it's a cycle. We
yeah.
all we all coexist,
Yes.
and we all co-create. But if all the parts are important, but we need to find each other in one table to use us
Yeah,
to start build creating, design, planning, designing,
yeah,
finding the money,
yeah,
and building different spaces
yeah,
with these forward thinking ideas, because
yeah, yeah.
it's time.
It's time, and it's beyond time, man.
They're overdue.
We're well overdue. And so, yeah, I'm thankful that with Urblandia we have some really
Yes.
forward-thinking companies and
Mhm.
professionals who see the value in the community and staying
Mhm.
building. And again, it's a community about coming together, about figuring out how to make support our well-being. Of course,
Mhm.
it's business and all the things, but we're trying to do it in a conscious way
Conscious way,
that creates value ultimately.
conscious development.
Yeah, it's not like, so we're creating this special thing where only a few will only benefit, and
Mhm.
it's another product. No, it's a product that affects everyone.
It's a shift of
Okay,
mindset that you said.
yeah,
We are trying to change the mindset of people,
yeah,
to make everybody,
yeah,
move to a different way of living that will affect everybody.
yeah, totally. And technology is you know a good
The tool.
could be a good tool.
Yes, totally.
We use it to get data. We use it to connect.
Hmm.
Obviously, Urblandia is a website, but also an app, and we carry it on our phones. And if you want to reach out to someone and say, "Hey, we have this project," or DM them directly.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
Now, how we get in touch with you and the community, because we
Yeah.
want to bring people
Yeah.
that it's forward thinking to this community, to your community, so we can talk about this and
Yeah.
we can
Yeah.
do something. Instead of talking, we
Yeah.
can transform those melting pots into action.
Yeah. So obviously you could find Urblandia, URBLANDIA.com, or you could find it just search in Google Urblandia. It's pretty much us. That's our name. And of course on all the Instagram and whatnot, the social media platforms. We do monthly meetups, so we invite people to come and sometimes we'll have a speaker. Sometimes it's just to connect. But ultimately it is a community that we're growing to other cities. So it'll be coming to a city near you soon as a place that you can join, make it easier for you to have access. But online, you're able to showcase your products, your services, what you're working on. We continue to promote a lot of the regenerative narrative, share articles, thought leadership in the space. If you have something to share that's developing that can affect how the community thinks, hey, by all means, we welcome that. One of the things I really that we're implementing that we really feel is a good anchor towards what I think is about. It focuses heavily on purpose driven being a professional, is that we give back, right? So, and in giving back, we learn and we create new partnerships. And in doing that, what we've done is essentially created partnerships with community organizations that we see are trying to push the envelope towards building better neighborhoods, and a couple of them locally. I'll mention one is the Underline, which it's the 10-mile linear park that's been built underneath the Metro Rail. Okay, starting out of Brickell and then in Dadeland South, and they're almost done. So they're entering phase 3. But it's a beautiful park that connects different communities, stitches community together. It's for active cities. Talk about active neighborhoods. So you can run, walk it, take your family. There's art, sculptured parks along the way. Exercise. It also has biodiversity because they've designed how to capture water and repurpose that towards taking care of the little hammocks along the way. Anyway, great project to volunteer with, give feedback. You get to know those people. You incorporate that into your own design as well, because you're learning from that implementation. The same thing with Transit Alliance. They are focused on helping to have Miami build a better infrastructure around transportation. Again, those neighborhoods, a lot of people who work, say for instance, on Miami Beach, don't live in Miami Beach, especially in the hospitality space. They have to take buses, and it's hours out of their day to get. And think about those people that have kids and they're single moms, and
quality of life.
Quality of life is not there. So we have to be a lot more efficient. So as the professionals in our network who are street engineers and planners, to have these conversations and to connect with Transit Alliance, get their data, because they have a lot of data to share, and to be a part of the conversation and say, how can I help? Sit on the board. This is how we think about community building as well. And that's how you get into spaces where it's not just about talk, it's about action and different levels. And I personally, I've sat on a few boards. One of them is Seaworthy Collective. And Seaworthy is an organization that focus on the health of water, and especially the ocean, and also address how do we do the research to address sea level rise and protect coastal communities. Because yes, we are dealing with storm surge, and
it's going to happen.
Yeah, and of course, when we talk about there are startups in there that they incubate, help to incubate, where they're addressing a particular issue. Say, for instance, you've seen a lot of what do you call it, seaweed, and sargassum. They take that and repurpose that and turn it into lumber for the built environment. Talk about regenerative and circular economy.
I love this.
So the excess of that, that invasion of red tide, all that stuff,
you can transform into something.
You can transfer it into something good.
Yeah.
And it's regenerative. Okay. So there are things like that where we try to connect, even though it doesn't seem as if it's connected to the built environment, but it all is. It all is. And so I encourage people to, connect with the platform, connect with Urblandia, connect with the community, and learn more about how it can affect their business and how they can contribute to affecting
Exactly.
others as well. So
Wow.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
a beautiful closing.
yeah,
I'm so happy that I have you here and that all of this conversation came up and ended up the way that it did, because I do believe that creating these spaces where people can interact and this melting pot is the way of moving forward for,
yeah,
for our society, for our built environment. So
yeah.
thank you very much.
No, thanks for having me, and continue to do the work that you do. It was a pleasure that we met. We had a person in common, which is Jesus. He
Yes.
came and exposed Pacheco. So yes, continue to do the work. It is all connected. It is about community, and as we said at Urblandia, connect and collaborate. Yeah,
And how, from our perspective, we can contribute to the greater good.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. And this is where it starts. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to Deconstruction Podcast. Your 5-star reviews really help us continue what we do. Please rate your listening experience, and let's keep building this beautiful community together. For exclusive access to more design content, visit thearchitecturalauthority.com or download our app from the App Store or Google Play. Until next time, stay creative.